this video, I want to go through a strategy that helps you get the best bang for your buck from your content. Hopefully by the end of this video, you'll see the potential that kind of hides in every post that you put out and have a better sense of how to tap into it, which makes the whole process of creating content more efficient, especially if you're trying to post at scale, which is often the secret to throwing fuel on the fire and getting the results that you've been looking for. But before I go any further, just a really quick introduction. Hi, my name's Danny. I'm a writer and a creator. I've been doing this for about 8 years now, all while traveling around the world and trying to fill my life with cool experiences, which is what sent me down this rabbit hole in the first place. I eventually built a 6-figure content business, but at the very end of 2023, that kind of all fell apart after an algorithm update and a shadow ban. So now I'm on kind of a new mission to rebuild my business. And the idea is to do that by helping other people build theirs, sharing what I've learned over the years as a creator and a writer, but especially what I've learned over the last 2 years, where I've done a big deep dive into what it takes to build a really simple and robust content business, one that lets you make great money working just a few hours a day and thrive in a world of AI. So thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here. I hope you get lots of value from this. And with that said, let's dive back into the video. You have people like Gary Vee and Alex Hormozi posting hundreds of times a week. I think Hormozi this time last year, thereabouts, he was posting about 450 times a week. And so you look at that and you hear people like him preaching the benefits of scale. And so you start posting more content and you quickly realize that flipping heck, it takes all day and you've got no time left for anything else. So how on earth, as a solo creator with limited resources, who maybe even has a full-time job alongside their content creation and definitely doesn't have a team or potentially the resources to outsource the creation process or the distribution process or whatever, how on earth do you post at scale and tap into all of these benefits that are clearly on offer if you do so? This process that I'm going to talk about in this video is one way to do that. And it all kind of boils down to the central idea that everything that you create, whether it's a short form post for Threads or Twitter or an hour-long video for YouTube, has masses of unseen potential that once you recognize and tap into, you're able to start posting at much higher volumes without having to create from scratch and in a much more time efficient manner, which doesn't drain you of all your energy and resources. The best way I've found to kind of capture this idea is with the analogy of an iceberg. So as I'm sure you know, the vast majority of an iceberg is beneath the surface. The bit you see above the surface of the water, no matter how significant it is in size, there is even more of it underneath the water, out of sight. And so that's kind of how it works with your content. Every post you create is kind of that piece above the surface, whereas the bulk of the potential is unseen and out of sight. And so if you A, recognize that, and B, tap into it, you can end up with a really streamlined way to post at scale, regardless of whether you have a team or not. And so if you are short on time, if you're trying to post content alongside a job, or you have clients to serve, or there's just other demands on your time. I'm a dad to an 18-month-old, so I'm trying to rebuild my business in 3 days a week maximum at the moment. So even though I much prefer making new content and I need to get much better at practicing what I preach with this stuff, if I and we maybe can get into the habit of tapping into the potential of everything we create, then it's going to make our life a lot simpler and easier, and we'll be able to reap the rewards of posting at scale without the demands on our energy, time, and resources. Like I said, this is sometimes easier said than done. I think when you are a creator of any kind, I think most entrepreneurs kind of fit that description. We all kind of create stuff. We get our kicks from building and seeing stuff grow and making progress. It's kind of much more fun and enjoyable to create something from scratch. Whereas when we're trying to tap into that kind of hidden part of the iceberg, as it were, it's more like repurposing what is already in front of us. And so there's less of the creation side. And so I find, at least, it's harder to motivate myself to do this versus creating something from scratch. So that's just kind of a side note. This stuff can require a bit more motivation to make yourself do it. But hopefully as the rewards become clear, that will provide the incentive to do it. So like I said earlier, this works with any type of content, whether we've just posted a short form post on Threads or we posted that hour-long YouTube video. But in general, if you're looking for the most efficient system, if you're looking to get the best bang for your buck from the energy required to make that initial post, the more effort you put into the creation process, the more you're going to be able to do with it, the more potential it has. So in the interest of providing a tangible example, let's imagine we've just written a long form article. Immediately, I would look to create a thread from it. So I'd take my long form post and I would probably just use AI to turn that into a thread for me. I'm not a fan of using AI for the creation process itself, but if I've already created that content from my own process, from my own mind, if I've done the initial work, then I feel okay about using AI to kind of streamline this process of making the most of that content. And so you could use something like ChatGPT, give it a specific instruction to turn it into a thread. Now you can take that thread and post it to relevant platforms, LinkedIn, Threads, Twitter, whatever. And now you have your thread, you might have 10 to 15 or more individual posts. And just as a quick aside, if we're trying to think about streamlining this process, instead of writing a generic long form article, I might decide to stick to listicles, which naturally lend themselves to being turned into a thread because you automatically have the individual points that can become the posts that make up the thread. Now you have your thread and you have those individual points. If they work as standalone posts, which they often will, you could just strip them out, take each one and use them as short form posts, as short form content on text platforms such as Twitter or Threads or LinkedIn. In theory, now you've taken one long form article and you might have up to 20 individual pieces of content from it. And that's just on the text based side. So if you want to create video content as well or audio content, you could use that initial long form article as a script for a YouTube video, which is basically what Danco does. He writes a long form article for his email list and then he uses that as the basis for his YouTube videos. So let's say you've done that and you've recorded yourself reading that post. What you can do now is strip the audio from that video. So you don't just have your content for video based platforms. You now have strictly audio content that can go to all the podcasting platforms. And suddenly with very little effort, there's software tools that can strip the audio for you. You have the makings of a podcast with little to no extra effort. So then you can go even further and you say, look, now I have this long form video. That long form video is comprised of these individual points. Maybe I can cut that long form video into short form clips. Again, there are AI tools now that can do this for you. And so in the same way that you turned your long form post into a thread and that thread into individual short form posts that you could put on Twitter and Threads, now you have a long form video comprised of individual points and you can strip the clips from them and post those to short form platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. So pretty quickly, with minimal effort, with minimal extra effort, especially compared to the effort of creating all of this stuff from scratch, you've taken that initial investment of energy and found ways to wring the last dregs of potential from it. So I'll leave it there, but hopefully that's a useful starting point for how to tap into this kind of hidden potential that is in everything you create. And hopefully you can take it, run with it, and then use it to streamline your process, save some time, and get the best bang for your buck from what you're putting out there. So if you would like more insights, more specific examples of what you can do, click the link in the description. It will take you to something called the Magic Post Machine. I used it to turn one Threads post into, I think, 38 pieces of content for every platform in about 28 minutes. So you can click that link, download it, check it out, and hopefully it will help you on that front. If you want any insights on how to create content that has the best chance of performing well online, check out this video next where I walk you through 5 secrets to going viral online.